Who?
Manager of the Phillies.
Oh.
He was a Yankees coach for a long time. It's nice to see a guy like that get a shot.
Where is he from?
I don't know. It's a good question. But he was a very loyal Yankee coach. Let me look that up. It's a good question.
Oh, there we are. Look at that.
He was with the Yankees from 1990 to 2017.
Oh, wow.
So, 27 years. Third base coach in A-ball. Field coordinator in 98. Ended up in the dugout. Then first base coach in 06. "27 years as a coach."
It's a long time.
Right? And someone finally gives you a crack?
Beautiful. All right, we're live.
All right, so we're up?
We're up. I'm going to try and... This is a fucking disaster, Mazz. Look at this. All right. We're live. Tony Mazz in the house. Shout out to Goslings. I have to read this real quick. It's presented by Goslings Rum, the spirit of Bermuda, and the key ingredient in the legendary Dark and Stormy Mazz. How do you like the Dark and Stormy so far?
Excellent.
First time?
Yeah, first time I've had it. Really good.
21 and over. Please drink responsibly. I got my Dark and Stormies here. Jake, you got a Dark and Stormy? He's got one right now, yeah.
So I don't know why I thought it was more like a black and tan.
Yeah, no, it's Dark and Stormy. It's just straight up dark.
That would explain why they call it that.
Right. It's both dark and it's stormy. Delicious beverage. Go get it. Shout out to Goslings Rum. We're a little late because we did the baseball hour earlier, 98.5 The Sports Hub. But in the process of getting set up, Luis Severino gave up back-to-back-to-back home runs against the Cincinnati Reds. Not a good baseball team. But I think Luis Severino walked off the mound. I think he came out and then walked off the mound. I don't know if there was an injury or what, but he's no longer in the game.
Yankees is kidding.
They're not a good team, Mazz.
Oh, please, would you stop?
I've been saying it.
Good God.
I've been saying it, and now they're proving me correct. New York Yankees are just not a good team. They're not as good as everyone said that they were. I've been saying that since the beginning of the year. And this was back when the Red Sox had like a winning percentage of like 350, and the Yankees' winning percentage was 750. I was like, the Red Sox aren't this bad. The Yankees aren't this good. And now they're coming back down to earth, Tony. They come back down to earth.
To say they're not this good, I can't disagree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
How many teams are going to win 115 games, right? Like, okay, fine. To say they're not a good team is a little bit of a stretch, don't you think?
No. Yeah, I just think they're not that good. Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
See
boy.
you later.
Josh Winkowski not impressed by that home run, though. Not impressed. Like, he's got to, at the end of every single game, be like, Taylor Walls, not that impressive of a home run.
This ball was spanked.
Have you guys talked about that?
Not a lot.
About how Winkowski just says that everything's not impressive after he gets beat every game?
For a guy who's not impressed that much, he's getting knocked around a little. I
I
love
mean,
that one, too.
What are your thoughts on Wrigley? Were you impressed when you saw it the first time?
Wrigley Field?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it.
What year did you see it the first time?
It's a good question. So what? Let's see. It was... Well, Theo was the GM. So it was one of the Red Sox first trips there in Interleague. And, look, I wish I had I can't give you a specific date, but I remember thinking when I walked in there, in all seriousness, that this is how people feel when they walk into Fenway Park. It was the first time I'd ever been there.
Yeah.
And I was covering a game there, but it was, you really do feel like you're walking into a time machine, going back 50 years in history. It had to be the early 2000s.
So
when did they go there for the first time? Do you have any recollection of that?
2005.
So somewhere in there, I think. They were having bullpen problems, I remember that. Alan Embry, so it could have been 03.
No. They went there in 05. They went there for the title defense. I don't know. When did interleague start?
Like 97, 98? Somewhere in there.
I mean, the fact that you can't remember the year means kind of sounds to me like you weren't that impressed.
What freaking
I'm just saying, I remember what year I went to Fenway for the first time. I remember what year I went to Pittsburgh for the first time, 2014. I went to Yankee Stadium for the first time in 2008. Like, I remember those things. You can't remember what year you went to Wrigley? Sounds like it's pretty stock standard.
Because I'm older than you. Like, I've had more.
Are you blaming
events.
your memory loss on old age, Tony?
Yep.
Is that what you're doing right now?
No, I'm telling you that I start remembering the things that are actually important.
Got it.
Like, what difference does it make what year it was? If it was 03 or 05, does it really make a difference?
Yes. To me, personally, yes.
I remember Theo was pissed, though. I do remember that. I remember that after
So if it was 03, then Theo was... Actually, no. Theo was behind the curtain in 02.
So it might have been 05.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been 05. You might be right, because they were having a bad year. And
they won 95 games in 05.
I'd have to look it up.
That was the year 05.
See, now you're gonna
05
make me
was the
look it
year
up.
that the Red Sox finished with the same record as the Yankees, but the Yankees won the division. I didn't understand that. Was that like a head-to-head competition thing? Like there was
Probably.
no one-game playoff. Like the Red Sox and the Yankees finished with the same record, and they were like, all right, you're the wild card, you're the division champion.
I'm looking this up. Hold on. I can't
All right, look
do
it
more
up.
than one thing at a time.
Look it up, Tony. I'm telling you right now, that's the answer to the question. I just
Red
gave you all
Sox
the
first trip to Wrigley Interleague.
was.
Hold
I bet it's
on. No, that says first trip since 2005. So it must have been 05. You must be right.
Well, look at that.
Shocker.
Someone said, why doesn't Jared make eye contact with his guest? Because we're watching the fucking game. Why would I... Imagine having 9 TVs, 9 baseball games on at the same time. Tony Mazz is sitting next to me. I just had to look at him for the last hour and a half. Now you want me to keep looking at him when I have 9 baseball games on.
I get news for you. You weren't looking at me in the radio studio either.
No, I don't. I look at the TVs.
You look at your phone
Not during the show, Tony. During the show.
during the breaks.
During the breaks.
Okay.
During the breaks. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was 05. It was June of 05.
Look at that.
And I remember that they weren't playing well, and Theo kind of ripped the team after one of the games, and it like caused a little bit of a stink in the clubhouse. Guys were a little, yanked off about that.
Mm-hmm.
And we loved it. Nothing like the GM ripping the team.
Of course.
So, but yeah, that was it. That was the first time in.
Do you remember when Theo Epstein... It wasn't a rumor. I think it actually happened when he smashed the chair because the Yankees signed Jose Contreras when the Red Sox wanted to sign
Yeah,
him.
it was in South America or somewhere like that. Where was it? I think, didn't they go down to didn't they have the meeting in, they tried to recruit him, I want to say, in like Central America.
Was he Cuban?
somewhere. Yeah, he's Cuban. He defected.
Yeah.
And he was holed up in like Colombia, or not Colombia, but Panama.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. And they had to, I think it was the Red Sox who blocked off.
Someone said Costa Rica.
Costa Rica sounds right.
Yeah.
It was somewhere down there, Central America, South America, somewhere in that area. And the Yankees allege that the Red Sox bought up all the hotel rooms so that the Yankees couldn't get a room in the same hotel. No, you didn't know this?
No.
Oh, this is true.
That's great.
So you should, that they didn't want the Yankees to have access to Contreras, so they booked all the hotel rooms in the hotel.
That's amazing.
Something like that.
Yeah. So
Didn't help them any.
I forgot to mention this on the podcast after the Yankee series, but I heard that this past 4-game series against New York when they were just at Fenway, that when the Yankees arrived, they were working on the sewage pipes in the visiting clubhouse when they got there. So the entire visiting clubhouse smelled like shit when they got there. It didn't work. They won the first 2. But I love when teams do stuff like that. That's some like Red Auerbach throwback gamesmanship. Yeah.
Turn up the heat, open up
Yeah.
the sewage pipes.
Yeah.
A real good stench.
Someone said, Mazz, Felger versus Jared, arm wrestling contest. Who wins?
Oh, please. It's you in a landslide.
You think so?
Yeah.
Where was Felger? I saw he was remote today.
I think he was at his summer place.
He's too good for us. He would never do something like this. That's why you're the best, Tony.
Nantucket. Well, it's debatable. But, yeah, no, Mike is in excellent shape, but I don't know if I would call him strong.
No. Mentally or physically. Neither. People in the chat are saying that your cell phone flashlight is on. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how that happened. All right, good. We get that fixed.
That's what the chat's for.
Thank you to the listeners,
Yeah,
the
people
watchers.
are just looking
viewers.
out for you, Tony.
Holy shit.
Wow. What a play. What's your thoughts on sliding head first into first base?
I hate it.
It basically just creates an illusion. Like, you don't get there faster, and the risk for injury is much higher.
There's only one reason to slide into first base ever. And that is, if you're going into the bag, the throw takes the first baseman toward you, and he can easily tag you.
Right.
You should slide to avoid the tag.
Never from home to first.
Right. That's the only time
especially
you should,
with replay. There's no benefit.
it's an accident waiting to happen.
Yep.
The Red Sox played the Indians in the playoffs one year, and I'm going back, Jared. I sound like one of these old bastards who's like telling you shit from,
Back to
30
my
years
day.
ago.
Well, I'm getting there now too, because Jake is 20. He just turned 25 when we were in Chicago for the Red Sox Cubs series, and like I'll be talking about stuff from like 2004. I was in high school. I was a sophomore in high school, and like they were kids. Like, how old were you in 2004? 9?
He was like 6.
7.
What year were you born? Jesus Christ.
That's crazy.
You got a little rally going here, J-Rod.
Yeah, I like that.
So, I think it was the 99 playoffs. Kenny Lofton dove into first base, dislocated his shoulder, and the Indians lost him for the series.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and it's common injury, right? I think Pedroia screwed up his hand or something.
Remember Stephen Wright? At Dodger
sure.
Stadium, John Farrell pinch ran Stephen Wright. By the way, he had Drew Pomeranz on his bench, and Pomeranz had just come from the National League, so he had run the bases a little bit. He threw Stephen Wright out there as a pinch runner at second base, and
Hurt
dove
his
back.
shoulder?
Never came back. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that.
Old Johnny Steelcock.
Big fan, Jared?
Yeah. Yeah, he hated me. He hated me like poison. There was you remember, what was that, 2017 maybe? Or 16 or 17? When I didn't even do like breaking news. It was a little tidbit in one of my game blogs about how the coaches had approached John Farrell about Craig Kimbrell's usage.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And then John Farrell got confronted on EEI about it, and he was like, how the fuck did you hear that? And then it essentially created like a mutiny in the clubhouse where players were trying to figure out who the rat was that was telling inside the clubhouse stuff to me, when in reality, it wasn't a player. It wasn't a player. It wasn't a coach. And they were all just like, who is it? Like, who's talking to him? Pretty much after that, I like stopped breaking like gossipy news. I was like, this is not worth it. Like having like the good relationships with players that's how we create content. And
I remember that story. We talked about that.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember that.
Yeah. Someone said, Mazz, tell us a good Carl Everett story.
Well, most of the Everett stories, he was okay to me. Like, and when I say okay, he was unpredictable. Like, there were days you walked in there, and not days, most days you didn't know what you were going to get. But the Chicago story is the one everyone remembers, where he starts going off on Gordon Eads and Shaughnessy.
I mean, that was the birth of curly-haired boyfriend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you and everybody from the globe, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. He was great. Guy just straight up does not believe in dinosaurs.
Oh, he was certifiable. Mm-hmm. I mean, completely batshit. Totally batshit crazy.
It's crazy that he didn't like resurface in the social media era. He would have been perfect. Like, where's he at now?
It's a great question. I'll tell you what, like when he was right, he was a pretty good player.
Yeah, people forget he was actually good at baseball. All of his like sideshow act stuff, like was that Ron Culpa that he headbutted?
Yeah. Yeah, he completely lost it.
Yeah, he had.
Culpa was just breaking in at that time. He was like a rookie, not a rookie, but might have been a rookie. First couple of years in the big leagues.
Yeah, Culpa was the crew chief the other night. I forget what call he had. But yeah, Culpa was the one that there was that awful call that he had on David Ortiz on like a pitch that was like 6 inches below the strike zone, and that's when I started making the Taco Bell videos.
So I can't remember if Everett came to Boston in 2000 or 2001. I think it was 2001.
2001 was the year that he broke up Mussina's perfect game in the 9th. Because it was like, I think it was the day before 9/11 that he did that. Mussina's perfect game?
That sounds right. It was a Sunday night game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Sunday. Well, no, so 9/11.
9/11 was a Tuesday?
9/11 was a Tuesday, but the series was in New York. So, no, it had to be before then.
Yeah, September 9th. Yeah. Yeah, Carl Everett just rode off into the sunset. Never to be seen or heard from again.
So the whole reason he ended up here is because in 99, if I get this right, the Red Sox lost the LCS to the Yankees.
Uh-huh.
And they decided that one of the big advantages the Yankees have is in center field. So Bernie Williams, I think, was a free agent after that 99 season.
Yep.
And the Red Sox went after him. And then at the last minute, Steinbrenner came in and made Williams an offer to stay with the Yankees because he wasn't going to let Bernie Williams come to Boston.
Right.
What year were you born?
89.
Okay, so you were like 10 at the time. Mm-hmm. So then the year after that, during the winter meetings, the Red Sox went after Carl Everett.
Right.
Because they couldn't get Everett right away after they lost out on Williams. I think that's how it went. Let me look that up.
Makes sense.
I think 2000, maybe it was the 98. Hold on, Jared.
Someone
Jesus
said
Christ.
Jared not getting their guest food again. Not true. Tony had his dinner. You already finished it?
Most of it.
You know, yeah.
I get very little left.
Yeah, I resent that comment. Let's see, what else? Culpa's behind the plate tonight. Mazz and Jared, how did you guys get your first job as a writer-reporter? Tony, how did you get your first job? Get Mazz some Goslings? He has Goslings. It's in his cup holder.
It was 2000, by the way. It was his first year. So
Carl?
I got that wrong.
Jurassic Carl?
Yes. So how did I get my first writing job?
Yeah.
I was in college at Tufts. Mm-hmm. I was a senior. And one of the Tufts alumni who I got to know was a guy who had gone to Tufts with Tim Horgan, who was then a columnist at the Herald. Mm-hmm. You don't know who Tim Horgan is, do you?
I've never met him.
Do you remember the name?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're smarter than I thought. So Horgan, this guy introduced me to Horgan, who was working at the Herald at the time. I was graduating. He said, well, look, they might be able to bring you in as a stringer, covering high school sports, basically glorified intern. So I took the job. It was a couple days a week, answering phones, covering high school games, $10 an hour. And at the same time that year, one of the sophomores at BU who was doing the same job for credit as an intern was Felger.
Oh.
So that's how the whole thing started.
What year is this?
It would have been fall of '89. So Felger was a sophomore then. He must have just been entering he might have been a junior. So he was going into his junior year, and I was, first year post-grad.
You met Felger the year that I was born?
Probably.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we worked together at the Herald for a while. So it was me, Felger. So you want to hear the 1983 quarterback draft, Elway, Todd Blackledge? Well, the equivalent of that in the Boston sports media was the late 80s, early 90s intern desk.
Okay.
Me,
Yep.
Felger,
Uh-huh.
Bill Simmons,
Wow.
Steve Conroy, Paul Perillo. That might be it. There's probably others that I forgot.
That's a heavy class. Do you know Bill Simmons personally?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. I haven't talked to him in a long, long time.
When was the last time you talked to him?
Oh, God, ages. Probably on the air. I think Felger and I interviewed him on the air once after we started the show, so 10 years ago.
Interesting. I might actually remember that.
Something like that. It was early on when we started the show.
Yeah. I think I remember when he came on, and it was like a big deal because he was big time national then, and I feel like he didn't do very much local stuff anymore.
He didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how we all we were all on the same, on the same desk. It's a good group. Good group of guys.
I thought you were gonna start talking about that picture with everyone had like the porn mustaches. It was like
McAdam,
Buckley, yeah,
Cafardo.
Yep. I got to see Buck over the weekend. I haven't seen him in a while. He's great. I love Buck.
Cafardo, I miss.
Why are people love this with Mazz, but it's a little weird how Jared never looks at Tony when he talks to him. We're watching the fucking game. This is not a formal interview. It's a stream while we're watching the fucking Red Sox game. They haven't done anything yet. If they do something, then we'll talk about that. For now,
well, they just scored, but it was on a double play.
Oh, a double play. That's very uninspiring baseball. Very uninspiring baseball.
Get used to it this week.
Yeah. I feel like some of this we talked about on the air today.
This was a good dish. This is a good recommendation by you.
Yeah, it was clutch. It's big time.
Is there a location right near you?
I don't know. It's a good question. Carl Everett hit 2 home runs in his first game at Fenway. Thoughts on Kevin Youkilis as a broadcaster?
So I like Uke. I mean, he offers, there's a lot of stuff I can learn from him still, from the hitter's perspective, Mm-hmm. So I tend to see the game through the eyes of the pitcher.
Yep.
That's just the way I process it. Uke sees it from the totally other different vantage point. Mm-hmm. So he says some stuff at times that I think, well, I never would have thought of that. Like, not in a million years. So, he's got really good insights. Like last night, there was that play at third base where Verdugo got picked off. And, Uke was just breaking it down. And obviously you can't get picked off. But he was just remarking how close the third baseman was to the bag during the whole sequence. And he was there the pitch before. In fact, on the first or second pitch of the at-bat, I think it was the first, right? Because it was on the second pitch that I think he got picked off. But on the first pitch of the at-bat, the catcher looked down there. Like he wanted to throw it then. And he didn't. But I don't know if, Verdugo didn't notice or whatever, but they were waiting for the opportunity to throw it down there. So, the third baseman's closer to the bag than the base runner is. That's not a good sign. You don't want to drift that far. So Uke sees stuff like that I just wouldn't, I would never process it the way he does. He's got way more experience on that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Did you find that you learned more from talking to hitters or pitchers?
I would say probably hitters, but I would say more than anything else, catchers.
Ooh, it's a good pick.
Catchers.
Which catcher did you learn the most from?
I mean, Veritek was up there.
Yeah.
He just had a great way of seeing the game and explaining it to you. And, I remember I did a story on John Lester early in his career where all of a sudden it clicked and Lester started to take off. So I remember talking to Francona and, I don't remember who the pitching coach, I guess it was Farrell at the time, and Veritek, and just like, what has been the difference? Like what? And they said, well, it's all about him commanding the ball on the arm side, Lester was obviously left-handed. So once he learned how to pitch to that side of the plate, the first base side of the plate, he became a lot harder to hit because Lester's fastball and his breaking ball to the third base side were always pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I remember Veritek giving me these little diagrams of how like a pitcher should be able to draw an X on both corners and make the ball cut that corner from both directions. Mm-hmm. Right? You know, you should be able to make the ball go away and in on the corners, both sides. And once you're able to do that, you can really just carve up the play. And, you know, and then Francona was telling stories about where the Braves would position their left fielder because Maddox was so good on the outside corner to left-handed batters. Like, so I learned a lot about pitching and how they approach it and how they break it down. And, you know, look, I got lucky, Jared. I covered good teams.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
So they played a lot of big games and, you know, where they had to be on top of their shit. And, you know, and they were smart teams aside from being talented.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that is interesting that, like, like for me, being close with some of the guys now, it's like Plawecki is learning from Veritek still. Like, they'll still have those meetings with, like, Vasquez, Plawecki, and Veritek is the one kind of still calling the shots. So the guy that you're saying that you learn the most from is still a wealth of knowledge for a lot of the guys that are still on the team now. Yeah, I think it's interesting that he's just not an interview guy.
No,
I think if
never
he
was.
does it,
Never
I think
was.
I'll get it. I'll get it if he does one, but he kind of just like he still has all of his binders and he still like keeps notes on every pitcher. He's just as meticulous now as he like people because someone over the weekend was like, was that Jason Veritek in the dugout? And I was like, yeah. Like, what does he do for the team? I was like, everything that he did for the Red Sox as a player besides catch and hit. Like, he still does that now.
Game prep.
Yeah. Crazy.
He's great at it.
Yes.
And he sees shit that he sees shit that a lot of guys will never see. So, you know, he can tell, for example, like if he watches a guy on video and the guy's, you know, going good, then he watches him in real time and he'll say, well, he's not swinging the same.
Yep.
You know, like, look at where his bat's ending up here versus what we were watching. And then he'll then know, like, okay, we can exploit him in this series with breaking balls away because he's not covering that part of the plate right now.
Yep.
You know, and he was able to make those decisions on the fly.
Right.
Like, that's what made him so good as a catcher. Mm-hmm. He was just really great at, you're talking about like someone who's, you know, is he good at doing interviews? And I would say, if you're just there talking without a notebook or a camera, he'll explain it to you.
Right.
But it won't come off well in an interview because it'll come off as kind of boring and analytical.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I you know, there were times I remember where I could go up to him after a game and say, hey, you know, you guys walked so-and-so and you threw this pitch and how come you didn't throw a slider? And he'd say, well, normally we would have, but in the bullpen, you know, and during warm-ups, he didn't have it. Mm-hmm. So he threw a couple early, and I could tell he didn't have it, and so he wasn't throwing it for strikes, so now I can't call it on 3-2.
Right. There's always a reason with him.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
He was just really detail-oriented, really prepared, knew what his pitchers could and could not do in any given moment, and that's why they loved him.
Yeah.
That's why Pedro loved him.
Yeah. I don't know that I've ever heard a pitcher say I didn't love working with Jason Veritek. Not one. On or off the record. Ever. Because even like with a guy like Christian Vasquez, it's like, yeah, he's great. You know, he calls a great game and he handles the pitching staff really well. I haven't heard that universally across the board from every pitcher that's ever worked with him. But Veritek, I don't think that there's a single pitcher in history that was like, yeah, I don't know about this Veritek guy. It just hasn't happened.
No, he was on it. You know, the irony was Pedro didn't need him. Pedro could call his own game.
Right.
He saw all the stuff that Veritek did. And, you know, and there were occasions, whatever, Pedro would shake him off because, no, I feel better about this pitch than that one. And Varitek would always defer to the pitchers because he would say at the end of the day, they have to believe it. Like if I call for something, they don't want to throw it, it's not going to work. So there were some guys that needed Varitek more than others, you know. Like I think he was really good with Derek Lowe.
Yep.
You know, Schilling always tells the story he's about to throw a no-hitter, and he shook off Varitek for the first time all day.
Shannon Stewart.
What's that?
Shannon Stewart in Oakland.
I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good. You remember that, huh?
I do.
I think you want to say he singled the right field or something.
Yeah, it was. Grounder through the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's pretty good, Jared, that you would remember that.
I was watching.
When you were like, 15 years old.
What year is that? That was...
Well, it had to be...
It was after 04, I think.
Yeah, it was somewhere between...
07?
I bet you it was 04.
I'm going to say 07.
Because Schilling was never really the same after 04. In 07, he wasn't as... it wasn't as good.
June 7th, 2007. Tony.
It was, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because he came back as a closer...
Right after that, didn't
in 06? Was he closing in 05 or 06?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was 05 because then his ankle would have been messed up from the postseason in 04. So I think he had like the surgery, not like the let's fix it for a few weeks and load him up on Toradol. I think 05, halfway through the season, he came back as the Red Sox closer. 06, I don't remember much of anything with Schilling. And then 07, like he always would get like the, thanks for 04 because of the bloody sock, but he was a pretty big part of that 07 team too. And then he signed the 1-year deal for whatever it was, $8 million and didn't pitch a game in 08. And then that's when the rift with the organization started.
Things went sideways after that?
Yeah.
Tell you, he was, I got along fine with him. I liked him. I mean, that was pre-political nonsense and all that other stuff. But in terms of dealing with on a day-to-day basis, he was fine. He was a good teammate to guys. Like there was no.
Ironically enough, I think it was on the record. We asked him in an interview years ago, but we asked Johnny Damon like least favorite teammate, Schilling. It was just like that. Quick.
I think there was a little bit of a thing there with the wives.
Yeah, they were catty back then for sure, but that was like very quickly. Didn't have to think about it at all.
I mean, you know that whole story about the scarves and the rallies and all that. Do you know that story?
No. Oh, yes, I do. Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah. Here come the Yankee fans because the Yankees took a 5-4 lead. Someone said, update on the Yankees score. Your tweet didn't age well. It aged perfectly. All I said was that they hit fucking back-to-back-to-back home runs. That cannot age anything but perfectly.
Welcome to my world, Jared.
Yeah, they hit 3 home runs in a row. That cannot be undone. It happened. That is just an objective fact. Congrats on taking a lead against the shittiest team in the National League.
They lost to him last night, right?
They sure did. With their
jumped on that pretty
with
fast.
their electric closer, Clay Holmes, blowing it against the Cincinnati Reds. That was tough to watch. That was really tough to watch.
Columbus Blue Jackets have signed Johnny Gaudreau. I know you don't give a shit about hockey.
No, I don't care about any other sports.
Wow, Columbus? That's where he's going?
What's his name? Krejci coming back?
I think so. I mean, it feels that way, right? Severino has right shoulder tightness. Did you mention that?
I did not. I just know he walked off the mound after the second.
You still have rolls? Are those gone?
I ate them all.
Did you really?
You fucking said you didn't want one, Tony. You're going to make me feel bad now.
I didn't realize you were going to eat them.
I ate all of them. I ate all 4 of them. Do I look like a guy that doesn't eat?
He could have at least given one to Jake over there.
Jake, do you want to roll? He's good. Yeah, I know. Everyone makes fun of me. They're like, oh, you got to feed Jake. Jake eats before he comes here. Jake knows that he has access to my fridge. He wants candy. You gonna have the candy? We're gonna have him drink a dark and stormy.
I got to tell you, though, it's a good spread here.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Good setup.
Yeah, the backlight here, it's connected to the cable box,
Yeah.
so it projects the light that's on the screen.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah, it changes colors.
Mm-hmm. Sure does, Tony. It's
I feel like I'm in a bar.
Yankee fan here, but Mazz is the man. Wow, that's nice.
Yankee fan says that?
Yeah.
It's because I don't shit on the Yankees like most Red Sox fans do.
Yeah, you love the Yankees.
I don't love the Yankees. I just don't hate the Yankees.
You absolutely love the Yankees.
People always ask me why I don't hate the Yankees. Yeah, Mazz, you're from Boston.
I don't hate the Yankees.
Okay, so here's what I'll tell you. That in the late 90s, when I really started covering,
Uh-huh.
we spent a lot of time in New York because the Yankees were in the postseason and winning World Series every October. So we spent a crap ton of time there. And you know what? They were good guys. Jeter and Williams and Posada and Pettit and O'Neill and Brocious, they were all good guys. Tino Martinez, all pros. Did I say Posada? Did I mention him too? He was a little ornery, but he was all right. Girardi was intense. But they were a good group. They're Cone. They were a really likable team. I mean, the total professional team. So I thought, like, why should I root against these guys when once I get to know them, they were decent guys.
Mm-hmm.
So Cone's one of my all-time favorites.
Did he just have a book that came out?
You know what? I think he did actually
Yeah.
have a book that came out.
Yeah, I want to check that out. We missed middle of the sixth. Jake's takes.
Jake's takes in the middle of the sixth?
Middle of the third, sixth, and ninth. Jake's takes.
Yeah, I talked to Winkowski today. He said he was super unimpressed by the airport in Tampa, by his Uber driver, and really just the whole facility. So super excited to see his press conference after the game today. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
It's another blast. Oh, we got it.
Oh, Jackie. See, the thing is,
Does Duran make that play?
no, and that's what I was gonna say. We
At
had
least
a
you
caller tonight who said Jackie Bradley Jr. is a bench player. Go get a right fielder. Yada yada. Say whatever you want about Jackie Bradley's offense. He can do things defensively that no other player on this team can do. You don't have a guy that makes that catch besides Jackie Bradley Jr. You just don't.
Kiki makes that catch.
I don't know if he does.
Yes, he does. That one wasn't that great.
I don't know if he does.
No, I just said Duran because I don't think Duran even makes that one.
What about, have you ever considered Duran at first base?
No.
Hmm.
You like Duran?
I do. I do like Duran. Yeah. I think, who was it? Oh, you know what? It was last week when you had Joe McDonald, right?
Oh, yeah, Joey Mack.
He was talking about Duran's maturity, and I don't know. I've noticed a difference in his maturity this year compared to last year. I think that there were maturity issues last year. I'm not saying that he's 100% mature, because that's not true, but there are noticeable differences in his maturity this year that I've noticed.
I mean, he's improved. Don't get me wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
I got nothing against him, but I don't even know him.
Mm-hmm.
But, to be an everyday big league player takes a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of discipline. You got to stay focused. You got to stay committed.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
Yeah.
How's Downs supposed to be defensively?
I don't know that anyone's raved about it. I don't know that anyone's complained about it. Yeah. Yep. And then we were talking about Nick York today. I don't know that his numbers are anything to write home about either. It got me thinking, because there is a pool of players that are expendable in the Seabolds and the Winkowskis of the world. Then you have the prospects that are either blocked, or you might not necessarily project them to be the next big thing. You're talking about like 8 premier names that could be used as trade pieces this year. That's a nice chunk. Like, there under no circumstances should you not come back with something that excites you at the trade deadline.
I mean, that's how I feel. So at the end of the day, when you know, no matter how many prospects you have, they're not all going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of them are going to be bench players. Some of them aren't going to make it. Some of them are going to be, you know, borderline starters or, you know, functional big league players. You might get one superstar in a bunch in a long time. So the Red Sox have always been good at positional players.
Yep.
But, like, you know, of the lot, like, just some of the guys they have now. So let's include Winkowski because he's pitching tonight. Cutter Crawford, Seabold, Duran. Who am I leaving out? That's just a few. Jeter Downs. Like, you know, all these guys probably have a place in the big leagues somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But are they the difference maker that's going to put you over the top? And my answer would be no. And of all those guys that we just mentioned, like, I look at Cutter Crawford and I say he's got a plus pitch. That cut fastball he throws is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's really good. Now, he doesn't always have it, but I would say he has it more consistently now than he did a while ago.
Sure.
So that pitch, at a minimum, can get him a role in the big leagues, and he'll get people out with it.
Mm-hmm.
So the other guys, I would say, I don't see anything that anyone does that's outstanding.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like Winkowski, I'm not telling you I don't like him, but does he have any one asset that I look at and go, that's going to take him places?
Right. Yeah, I think he just, like, induces...
Ground balls.
Yeah. Soft contact, ground balls, outside of the fucking bomb that he gave up tonight. He gave up the Donaldson grand slam, too.
So this is what I'm saying, though. Like, when, you know, you put him against an elite lineup, you know, the stars are going to come through against the best competition.
Right.
And most people aren't stars. I'm not dumping on them. I'm just trying to give you the reality of it. So at the end of the day, if you have Seabold and Winkowski and Crawford, shouldn't you trade one of them? If not
Sure.
two?
Sure. I mean, I would have to know who's coming back. I still think that those guys can help you. I mean, I would say...
Sure.
So Winkowski, when he got touched up by the Yankees, I know a lot of people were like, you know, this guy sucks, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he sucked in his debut, and then he was great until that Yankee start. But you look at some of the opponents, I don't think that there was anything to write home about. Let me see.
Soft landing.
Oh, the entire time. All right, so here are the teams that Winkowski faced. Baltimore, Oakland, Detroit, Cleveland, and then the Cubs. So
Not a great offense in the lot.
No, like, you know, and the Baltimore start was the one that he got touched up a little bit. That was his debut. So when he kind of settled in and he had gone into that Yankee start with a 3-1-2. Oakland, Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago. Big time soft landing.
And Seabold's first couple were against who? One of them was the Toronto one. He got knocked around,
Yeah.
which you would expect.
Yeah.
And then there was a pretty
Yankees.
good one in there, but there was a pretty good one in there after Toronto. But it wasn't a good lineup.
Really? I think. Why did I think the Yankees were his second outing? Let's see. Connor Seabold. I mean, obviously it was forgettable. Oh, the Cubs. He got the Cubs too.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah, he went 4 innings, 1 earned run,
Right,
74 pitches.
It's pretty good. Decent.
You'll take it. But it was
So one thing I've noticed with Crawford,
yeah.
I think Crawford, one of his starts was St. Louis, and he didn't pitch well,
Yeah.
if I remember right. But when Crawford can prepare, and he was a bulk guy in one of those games, right? Because Austin Davis was a starter,
Tampa.
right? But he probably knew he was coming in the third inning in that game, and he was
He
going to
said
get
that, yeah.
Yeah, he was going to get 5 innings, right? So my point is when he can prep. He goes through his routine. Looks to me, he did a good job in Seattle. Not that that's a great lineup.
Mm-hmm.
He pitched half decent
Not a bad
against.
lineup. They've got some guys that can hit. in
Yeah, he
that
pitched
lineup.
well against the Yankees too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I think that guy's got a place.
Yep. Cutter
But-
Crawford.
But you probably can't pitch him out of the bullpen.
Unless you're going to do the 2-inning opener and then bring him in the third to go 5. Best case scenario. I like that. I didn't hate that at all.
No, so that'll work too. I just mean, like, can you bring him into the 7th with 2 guys on? And my guess is probably not, at least not at this stage of his career. Maybe it'll change later. You know, he gets a little experience and he's less. But the routine probably matters to him, and he knows how to attack a lineup, and he can, you know, prep it all out. Like, and I'm guessing, Jared. I don't know any of this. I haven't talked to anybody about it. I'm just telling you what we see in these games.
Mm-hmm.
When he starts or he's a bulk guy, he does fine.
Yep.
Boy, this kid McClanahan's going to another level, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a beast. I had the numbers up here. He has 18 swings and misses compared to Winkowski's 6. The top velocity. Yeah, he's touched 98.
Good change.
Yep. Yep. Hardest hit ball of the game belongs to Bobby Dahlbeck.
That ball to center field? Is that
Yeah.
a fly out?
Yeah.
He smoked that ball.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 109.5 off the bat.
You know that reliever Seawald that you like for the
Yeah,
Mariners?
yeah.
He just gave up a freaking bomb to Soto.
Oh, shit. Oh, he had
Does that
time
say
to look
112
back.
miles an hour?
It says 112.3.
444 feet?
Yep.
See, I can't even really read that. That's what happens when you're my age.
Yeah. It's going. That was torched. I got to tweet that, Mazz.
Tweet what? The home run?
Oh, yeah. I love Soto.
Love that guy.
Big Soto guy.
He won't be there long either, will he?
I mean, they've been talking about re-upping with him, so I don't know.
That's going to be extra bases. Couple of hits for Bogarts, right? Or did he walk earlier?
He had that dive into first base.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
that
him
was
that
a
did
hit.
that.
He's starting to wake up
Yeah, we need some more pop.
just in time for New York.
What's your honest evaluation of this Yankees team?
They're playing above their heads, but they're good. I mean, their pitching staff's ridiculous. They get a great pitching staff. Bullpen's off the charts. I still think the lineup is a little trick-or-treatish for my liking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they could use another guy in there that hits for average. Because I think if you get, you know, you get power pitching against Judge and Stanton, you can shut those guys down. All right, J-Rod, here you go. Right-hander on the mound. 3-1
it.
game. Top of the 7th, 2 outs.
I like it. Little poke through the left side here.
How about a little poke into the seats?
Ooh, I don't hate that. Honestly, one of
Look,
the
they've gone to the pen. You can tie this shit up now.
one of the biggest highlights of the season for me was Verdugo's homer off Bieber in Cleveland. That ball was absolutely smoked, and I believe that was for either the lead or the tie at the time. No. Juan Soto.
Hard not to like Bogarts.
What's your relationship? Who do you have any, like, I know that you're not down there, but is there anyone on the team that you have like a steady relationship with in terms of communicating with them?
Not really. I kind of like it this way.
That's what I was going to ask earlier is when you first started, did it bother you if there was like a player or a coach or a manager that wasn't a big fan of yours because of a take that you had?
Yeah, for sure. Look, at that age, I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted to have access to everybody. I mean, I think all of that's normal. So, like, I remember Mike Greenwell at one point stopped talking to me, and I said, hey, do you got a minute? And Greeny used to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And Greeny talked to that freaking trash can over there.
Yeah.
He was like, it's a very social guy.
Right.
And I said, are you pissed off or something? He said, yeah. I said, what? He said, I didn't like a question he asked me after one of the games. And I remember the question. A guy had run on him. Grimo had elbow surgery and his arm was never the same. He didn't have a great arm to begin with.
Yeah.
But I asked him at one point, do you feel like guys are taking advantage of your arm? And he didn't like the question. And so, I don't know, I learned over the years not to ask that in a public setting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So he wanted you to not ask the question at all, or ask it in a more respectful way, or a way that caters to his, I guess, insecurity.
Yeah, probably. I mean, so one of the things I had to learn at that age was how you ask it matters.
Yeah.
There
How
was
old were you around that time, roughly?
late 20s.
Late 20s.
Yeah.
So you were fucking Chris Cotillo. That dude, man, he asks all the dumbest questions. We love him, but what a fucking. He's always like, man, so what do you think about this?
Mid to late 20s.
Yeah, we're gonna get him on at some point. Actually, we might not. We don't even want him here. But those kind of questions are the ones that kind of get you blacklisted for an entire player's career. And if they're a guy like Greenwell, it's that's not a guy that you want to get blacklisted by.
Yeah, so to his credit, he didn't take it personally. And
Where's
I think
that piece of shit Yankee fan that was in here chirping earlier? You're losing to the Reds, you fucking clown. Anyway, sorry, Mazz.
So, I think a lot of them recognize that I was just a kid. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to figure it out, too.
Yeah.
So do you remember there was a left-handed pitcher named Zane Smith? You ever remember him? Mm-mm. He pitched for the Pirates at one time, and he's a sinker baller. I think one year with the Pirates, he won 15, 17 games. He had a really good year. The Red Sox signed him in 95, and he sucked. He had a horrible year. Team was up in Toronto. They yanked him out of the rotation, and I remember Cafardo went over to talk to him, got him one-on-one. And, I was shitting my pants, and I thought, okay, Cafardo's got some kind of scoop. So I was really insecure about it. I went over to him, and I said, hey, you got a second? Yeah, what's up? You worried they're going to yank you out of the rotation? And he's like, dude, you got to do better than that. And so, I didn't know how to ask questions. I didn't know how to interact with them. I didn't know any of that. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn some of that.
So knowing what you know now, how do you ask that question? Are you worried that they're going to take you out of the rotation? That's the question that you want to ask. How do you ask that without hurting people's feelings?
So the trick is to get to know the guy first.
Uh-huh.
And then once you get to know him and understand who he is, then you understand how you can ask it.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't always have to be on the record.
Right.
You could go by a guy's locker and say, hey, you got a minute? Yeah. Anything going on? You doing all right? Yeah, I said, and if you knew him, you could say, you worried at all that they may shake up the rotation or anything? And most times, if you knew the guy, he would say, they haven't said it yet, but, I'm supposed to throw tomorrow. If it changes, I'll let you know. Shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I walked in, I was young, inexperienced. Cafardo was covering the team at the time for the Globe. And Nick was entrenched in there, so it was a hard thing to crack. But that's how you learn it.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's how you learn it.
Is there any part about being on the beat that you miss?
Oh, yeah, sure.
What?
I mean, there were, I enjoyed some of the characters and the personalities. And again, I got lucky, Jared. I covered good teams. Mm-hmm. So, think of that. Think of the guys that came through there when they were winning. Okay? Pedro Martinez, one of the greatest pitchers in the history of the game, and as big a personality as he was a pitcher. Kurt Schilling, one of the best big game pitchers of all time. David Ortiz, maybe the most clutch Red Sox hitter who's ever lived. And not maybe, but maybe the most, the Reggie Jackson of the Red Sox.
Right.
And and a lot of guys who weren't necessarily superstars, but that were good guys who knew their roles. And I'm Gabe Kapler, I was as different as any ball player I've ever covered.
Was he weird back then?
Yeah, he was introspective. You know what I mean?
In what sense?
He's just different. I mean, he looks at everything differently.
I don't remember him being like that as a player, though.
He was more like that than he would let on.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a big coconut oil guy. Loves coconut oil. It's like Frank's hot sauce. He puts that shit on everything, but it's coconut oil. It's very bizarre.
So when he went to play in Japan,
Uh-huh.
I think he went to play in Japan because he wanted the experience of it.
That's cool, though.
Right? But like he didn't do it for the money, or he's like, I want to experience that so he went and played in Japan.
Just to do it.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah. But he was like that. You know what I mean? He's a little bit of a free spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I say free spirit meaning he would try different things.
Yeah.
Really smart, really, but and usually the smart people are different.
Right.
The really smart people.
Yeah, he's like, he's a different kind of smart. He's a curious smart.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like one of those naturally smart 4.0 GPA type smarts. He's like, I'm going to seek out the information that I want smart.
Yeah, he's a real world kind of smart. Like, he just understood the value of experiences and, again, sort of very philosophical kind of guy.
Yeah, big time philosophical.
But I always like talking to him.
He seems interesting.
Johnny Damon.
Yeah.
Like, Johnny Damon was like the easiest guy in the world to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good group.
San Diego Padres channel. Mariners won again. Orioles are winning again. This is crazy. They're about to win 10 straight. Have you ever seen this before? A division that has all winning records this late into the season?
It's a good question. It has to have happened, right?
I'm sure it's happened. I can't remember it. I can't remember there's always that one dog shit team that's 29 games back of first place by the All-Star break. And I mean, you do have a bunch of teams that are, nowhere close to first place, but having 5 teams in the same division with a winning record right before you hit the All-Star break, I can't recall that ever happening, at least in my lifetime.
Right, so they beat the Cubs. They're what? They're 45 and 44 or something like that?
45 and 44.
It's amazing.
In 1994, everyone in the AL East had a losing record on the day the strike began. I didn't know that.
In 1994?
Yeah.
Well, the year the Cardinals won the World Series? 06?
They won in 06 and 11.
They go 82 and 80 that year? They won the division
Something
with
like
82 and 80?
it might have been like 80. They might have had 83 wins. That was the 06 Cardinals. But that was like they had injuries out the ass and then they got healthy right at the end. So they won 83 games, but I don't think they were an 83 win team.
And there was a year the Padres won the West where everyone thought they were going to finish with a losing record. But I think they won it. They ended up winning,
The 2006 St. Louis Cardinals went 83 and 78.
Yeah. But if you look, too, it's a little deceiving because I think in the final week of the season they lost a shitload of games.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they won the World Series.
And it was a good roster.
Yeah, Eckstein was a shortstop, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could remember who else was on that team in 06.
I think Scott Rowland was still there. Pujols was there. Edmonds was still there.
They had some good players.
Juan Encarnacion. So Taguchi.
I loved him as a player. Encarnacion.
Yadier Molina was still there. Ronnie Belliard. Skip Schumacher. Yeah, this wasn't... I mean, the rotation was all right. Chris Carpenter was great. The rotation sucked. Jason Marquis had a 6 ERA. Jeff Suppan had a 4.5. Mark Mulder had a 7. Anthony Reyes had a 5. Jeff Weaver had a 5.
Well, who was in the bullpen? Was Wainwright in the bullpen?
Isringhausen. Wainwright was in the bullpen, yeah. That was the year. Wasn't that the year that he dropped like the curveball from hell on Beltran?
Maybe.
He just froze him. That was when they clinched the pennant, I believe.
I loved Beltran, too. He was a great player.
Sidney Ponzone was on this team. Ricardo Rincon of Moneyball fame.
A lefty.
Yeah, that's not a bad little team there.
Edmonds, Pujols, Roland.
Yep.
Was Renteria still on that team?
He was on our team.
In 06?
No, he was on the Tigers. He was one and done in Boston. He signed with the Red Sox in 05. Then they shipped his ass to Detroit.
They signed him after the 04 season?
Yeah.
Wow, I don't remember that.
Yep. They signed him after 04. He made 36 errors in 2005, and then they traded him to the Tigers.
Right. Who'd they get for him?
That's what I'm going to look up right now. Let me see
Hold
if I
on,
can
that was
remember
like a one-for-one deal, too, wasn't it?
All right.
Give me a hint.
I want to see if I can think of it first.
No,
I also want to check, before I do that, was I right about the 36 errors?
Sounds right.
Standard fielding. Errors.
I think 30.
He
He's
made
sending them
30.
home. Look at this. Jesus Christ.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
See, this is the kind of stuff that pisses you off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no different than last night.
Single to right. Goes to third.
Scored from first on a base hit to right.
And then they throw to third base.
Crazy. All right, he made 30 errors in 2005, and then was traded.
You got to give me a hint.
Was I wrong about the Tigers? He went to the Braves. He went to the Braves.
Hold on.
Was that for?
Hold on. Don't give it away. Who came to the Braves who came to the Red Sox from the Braves in 06?
I know Gonzalez was their shortstop in 06, but I don't think that's who they traded for in that deal.
Alex Gonzalez?
Yeah.
He was good.
He broke Rico Petrocelli's record for best fielding percentage by a shortstop in 2006.
He was good. He could field.
Yeah.
I always got him mixed up with the Alex Gonzalez who played for Toronto.
Yeah.
The one for Toronto, I think, could hit better.
I'm not looking at the chat because I'm sure people are tweeting it. Edgar Renteria traded to the Braves.
Who did the Red Sox get from the Braves in 06? So the second baseman in 06 was Mark Loretta. They got him from the Padres.
Yeah.
Who
He made the All-Star team. Loretta.
He did? Loretta
Yeah,
did?
Yeah. Yep.
Who played third base in 06? Is that Beltre?
No, that was 2010.
Oh, God, that was, wow. I missed that by 4 years. Holy shit. Lowell. Oh,
Lowell was
Lowell
still
wasn't
there.
here yet.
No, yeah. No, he was.
Oh, that was Lowell.
That was the Beckett deal. Their first year was
right,
06.
right. Because
Yeah.
Beckett's second year, he got better.
No, he sucked. He gave it the
The
most
first
home
year he
runs.
sucked.
Led the league in home runs in 06.
Okay, so the outfield in 06. 07, they brought in J.D. Drew.
Yeah, as part of the Daisuke deal. The Boris special 2-for-1.
I don't remember.
Who they traded for Edgar Renteria?
Oh! Didn't they get that third base prospect?
Oh, Andy Marte. No, but that was...
No, he went to Cleveland.
Yeah, he Yeah. Andy Marte was sent to Cleveland in the Victor Martinez trade. Maybe that's how they got him. Yeah, that makes sense. Did they get Marte for Renteria and then they used Marte to get Victor Martinez?
Maybe.
All right, let's look. Edgar Renteria was traded. No. Yes. Yeah.
Andy Marte?
Yep.
I'm taking credit for that.
That's big.
Bitch.
The Red Sox traded Edgar Renteria with cash to the Atlanta Braves for Andy Marte, who was then traded to.
At the trading deadline.
Yep. Yeah, I remember
But that
Justin
was later,
Masterson.
wasn't it?
That was the day of the trade deadline. Because I
In
remember.
06?
No,
Victor
no. It
Martinez
was later down the line. Oh, you know what?
It was a different trade.
It was the Coco Crisp trade.
Oh, all right. So there you go.
Red Sox traded Guillermo Mota, Kelly Shopik, and Andy Marte for Josh Bard and Coco Crisp.
Josh Bard, who then didn't make it through the year.
No, because Wakefield needed Marabelli.
They really liked Bard, too. He couldn't catch that freaking thing.
No.
That was bad. Coco.
Yeah. I talked to. Do you remember the James Shields brawl
Which one?
with Coco?
Was that in Boston?
Yes.
Yeah.
2008. Coco charged the mount on Shields. Shields threw that right hook that missed. Then there was a big brawl on the mound. Johnny Gomes, who's on this T-shirt that I'm wearing right now, ran in and was throwing haymakers at
I
Coco
remember
on
this.
the ground. And I asked him about that. I was like, didn't you guys, not only were you teammates, you shared an outfield together in Oakland. Like, is that weird? And he was like, no, like we worked out together like that following off season. It's like, I don't understand that dynamic. I feel like, especially since, and I love Gomes, but Coco was on his back and he couldn't throw punches from his back. Like, people were like restraining him basically, and Gomes is throwing these haymakers, and they were just like buddies at the end of the season. I can't remember another time where there was two players who beat the bag out of each other in a brawl and then ended up being like teammates.
So there was the Red Sox played the Indians in the Jared. I don't know.
ALCS in 99?
Late 90s, early 2000s. Remember, the Red Sox had a lefty named Real Cormier,
Okay.
who was from Canada. He was a Canadian guy.
Yep.
Great guy.
Yep.
Cormier was with the Red Sox in the mid-90s, got traded to the Indians, came back. Okay? So they were playing at Fenway against Cleveland. Jim Thome got in the box. And there was some bad, blood between the teams. Cormier drilled Thome.
Okay.
They used to go fishing together when they were the Indians.
Really?
Yeah. Thome charged the mound, triggered a brawl. After the game, Cormier's driving out of the parking lot, saw Thome waiting for a cab. He hopped in and drove him to his hotel.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was great stuff.
What?
That was old school.
That's incredible. I have to see if I can find this clip. Jim
Yeah.
Thome charged him out?
Jim Thome charged him out against Real Cormier. You can Google the story. I remember it was great. It was like pro wrestling. Like, we're going to fight, and then I'll pick you up after the game and drive you to your hotel. It was great. Great stuff. And then, Pedro had the thing in Tampa the night that he drilled Gerald Williams. You know that story?
Yep.
Okay, Gerald Williams charged him out. The Rays hated Pedro. They hated him with a passion.
Yeah.
After the game, Pedro was in the clubhouse. The traveling secretary, Jack McCormick at the time, walked over to Pedro, whispered something to him, and I saw Pedro shaking his head like, nope, fuck that, nope, I'm going out the front door. Greg Vaughn was waiting for him in the loading dock area, and they were trying to tell Pedro to go out the back door so they didn't see Greg Vaughn on the way out. And Pedro said, no way, I'll walk right by him. I'm walking out the front door. So it was that kind of crap that when I was great, that was great stuff.
Pedro wasn't afraid of anybody, even
No,
though
he made a point of it too.
Yeah,
he
his
was-
physical stature didn't really back that up. But how many times did Pedro get charged? I feel like it was a lot.
It was at least a couple, I think.
Yeah, there was one time, I don't think it was the Gerald Williams game, but Mo Vaughn absolutely smoked someone trying to come
I know
out
that
to the
one, yeah.
mound. Like did like a barrel roll with like the amount of force that he came from first base to tackle this dude.
Mo was a big dude.
Yeah, he's a monster. I just saw him. I hadn't seen him in person up close until this year. He came back, and I think it was like one of his kids threw out the first pitch this year, and we were in the same elevator. And this guy, he's built like Bowser.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's got
That's
a
it.
big back.
Yeah.
Huge.
Have you met him or no? Like, or
I've interviewed him, but it was like 2018. It was a long time ago. It was over the phone, so we couldn't like see each other, and I've never been introduced to him or anything like that.
oh, you'd have loved him.
Yeah, I did love him. I remember when he
Good guy.
went to the Angels, and my dad took me to his first game back after signing with the Angels, and I remember him like asking me like, "Are you gonna boo Mo Vaughn tonight?" And I was like, "Why would I do that? I love Mo Vaughn." And like people were booing him for like leaving, but it's like I still love Mo Vaughn. I feel like that was like that's like a hatred is learned type thing. Like as a kid, like yeah, Mo Vaughn was my favorite player on the Red Sox before Nomar got called up in '96, August 1st, 1996. Hit his first career home run off John Wasden.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
Didn't everybody?
pretty much, yeah, way back Wasden, and
Or was?
yeah, I guess I don't know. Like, who is your guy when you were a kid watching the Red Sox?
Who, me?
Yeah,
Oh God, I'd have to say, like, we're talking really when I was a kid, Fred Lynn. Like everybody here, I was 8 years old when Lynn was 75. So like everybody was, he won Rookie of the Year, he won MVP, he was making diving catches. Oh, he was the guy. Lynn was everybody's guy. And then I would say in the 80s, probably Clemens.
okay.
Like I was in college when 86 happened. I was was I a junior? No, the 86 World Series, I was a sophomore. So, but Lynn was the guy. I mean, he was trying to say, who would I compare Fred Lynn to today? Like,
Who would you compare Fred Lynn to?
that's a hard one. He was a left-handed hitting.
What about like Michael Bourne? I know he doesn't play now, but like when he was with Atlanta,
Lynn was better.
better than Michael Bourne.
Yeah, what did Bourne? How many years did Bourne play? Fred Lynn hit like 350 home runs, I think. Won some Gold Gloves.
Michael Bourne. Yeah, you're right. I thought he was better than what he was.
You know who Lynn was a little like, but better? Grady Sizemore.
Okay. All right. Yeah. In my mind, Michael Bourne was Grady Sizemore like, or at least the Cleveland years.
Lynn had a smoother swing though.
Yeah.
Lynn had a great swing. He was
Curtis Granderson.
Lynn was better.
Lynn was better.
I mean, he was like he was a borderline Hall of Famer.
He should have been. I mean, Dwight Evans should have been. Dwight Evans led the entire 80s decade in extra base hits. Do you know that?
I know that he was in the 80s like one of the best players in baseball.
Mm-hmm. No one had more extra base hits in the 80s than Dwight Evans.
Late bloomer.
Hell of a mustache. Hell of an arm.
Oh, he could really throw.
Do you remember, I mean, by the time all these big games were happening, you were covering the team. Do you remember the most exciting or prominent game that you went to as a fan, as a kid?
Good question. Best game. So I was at the 88 playoffs against Oakland.
Oh, was that the Dave Stewart Clemens series, or was that the next year?
No, I think that was 90.
That was the eye black game where Clemens got ejected.
In 90, he got ejected.
Yeah.
So the 88 series was at Fenway. Well, I saw it might have been the clincher because the series started in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
I think they swept him both times, right? X struck out Boggs with the bases loaded in the 9th inning, I think. Looking. Mo swinging.
90 or 89?
I think it was 88. 88. 90, they swept him again, but that was the one Clemens got tossed, I think. I'm pretty sure Clemens got tossed in 90.
In 88, the Red Sox lost to the Indians in the division series.
No, that's 98.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
88 was Oakland in the LCS. 4 straight, I think.
Yeah, they got swept.
And what was the score of games 3 and 4 at Fenway? Red Sox didn't score. They couldn't hit them.
10-6, they lost. 4-1, they lost.
Okay, the 4-1 game? Was that game 4?
Yes.
Eckersley closed it out?
Yes.
Check the last at bat of that game.
Eckersley saved all 4 games.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
It's got the play-by-play in there, right?
Yeah.
Was it the bases loaded and Boggs struck out?
Let's see.
Might not have been bases
Walk,
loaded.
ground out, lined up, pop fly.
That was it?
Yeah.
In the 9th?
Yep.
Was it Boggs?
Jody Reed.
Really?
Yep.
How about the 8th inning? Who pitched the 8th?
That would be Rick Honeycutt.
Cut the shit.
Is he the fucking Dodgers pitching coach?
Yeah, same guy.
Yeah.
Go to the other game. Go to the 10-6 game.
This is great.
I'm going to be right. One way or the other, come hell or high water.
All right. Dennis Eckersley struck out Jim Rice. Got him 1-2-3 in the 9th.
Was Boggs one of the outs?
Boggs, Greenwell, Rice. Line out, ground out, strikeout, swinging.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's a pretty good
Like
lineup to just burn through. Boggs, Greenwell, Rice. See you later.
So it couldn't have been 90. That was 88?
This is 88.
Jesus.
The 88 ALCS. Red Sox, they were there.
Maybe I'm making it up.
They showed up. Game 2. Nope. 1-2-3. 1-2-3 in the 9th against Eckersley again. And then game 1. Game 1 in the 9th. Eckersley struck out Boggs swinging.
10 the game?
Yep.
So that's the game I went to.
Game 1.
That was in Boston? So wow, so they must have had a better...
Yeah. Game 1. 2-1 final.
Okay, so that's the one I was at.
Okay.
So I wasn't totally making shit up. No, but I remember it. Like, I was pretty sure he struck out Boggs to end the game.
Yep. Bases were not loaded, though. That was pop fly, strikeout looking, double, walk, strikeout.
Okay, so first and second.
First and second, yeah.
Might as well have been bases loaded.
Yeah, first and second. Punched out Wade Boggs.
And what I bet you Boggs that year in 88 probably hit 350. Crying out loud.
Let's see. Wade Boggs in 1988 hit 366, his 4th and final consecutive batting title.
How many doubles he hit that year?
45 to lead the league.
Yeah.
He hit 51 the next year.
I was going to say, I know he had a 50 double year in there somewhere.
Yeah. He won a batting title 85, 86, 87, 88. That's crazy. I mean, he was 30 years old, just won 4 straight batting titles, and never won another one for the rest of his career, and he played until he was 41.
Well, he was gone from Boston not too long after. Was his
93.
Okay.
93 was his first year in New York.
Okay, so what did he hit in 92? He didn't have a great year that year. I remember
259.
that. Yeah, he had a bad year that year because it was a contract year and he didn't like the pressure.
Yeah.
And then after he left Fenway, did he ever hit better than like 312?
He hit 342 in 94.
With the Yankees?
The strike year, yeah.
Oh, that's a strike year? That doesn't count.
324 in 95, and that was it.
Leaving Fenway hurt him.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's something you don't see anymore.
What?
A left-handed hitter who wears out the wall. Like there used to be Ortiz was pretty good at it, actually.
Yeah.
But Vaughn was great at it. Boggs was great at it. Lynn was great at it. They all knew how to use that wall. There's no lefty on the Red Sox that does that anymore. Devers sprays it everywhere.
Right. You know who would be an absolute monster at Fenway? He's already a monster now, but if he played half a season at Fenway Park, Yordan Alvarez.
He'd be great at Fenway. He hits the ball the other way. He's got power.
He hits the ball everywhere. Yeah, Yordan at Fenway would be ridiculous.
He just signed a big contract, didn't he?
Yes. Why do the Red Sox suck whenever you stream? They suck a decent amount. I promise you it's not just the nights that we stream. Suck last night. Sucked the first 2 games of the Yankee series. It is what it is. Freddie Freeman, I guess, is a good one.
What, for guys who would hit the wall?
Yeah.
Hard to find many lefties who like... Freeman is a good one, actually. That was one of the theories when they brought J.D. Drew here. Said he was going to use the wall. I don't know where that stupidity came from.
Oh, you know the other one? Adrian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, yeah, you see all these doubles. These are going to be home as Mazz.
Well, what did he hit his first year here?
328, I want to say.
I bet you it was high. It was in the 330s, I think.
Adrian Gonzalez. If I nail 328, that's...
I'm going to go 331.
His first year. Why is it? All right. His first year. No. His first year. 338, excuse me.
I was closer.
Yeah. 338, not 328. Yeah, he was in 282 games with the Red Sox, he hit 321.
He was built for Fenway.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff about the doubles would turn into homers didn't end up coming to fruition. He actually, his power diminished, really. Like, he didn't hit, it's not like he was hit. They were saying that if this guy's a 40 home run hitter at Petco, he's a 50 home run hitter at Fenway. I don't even think he hit like 30 homers that year.
At Fenway.
Yeah, I think he hit like
27.
something like that. Yeah. He hit 27.
On the nose?
Yep.
Don't fuck with me, Jared.
Led the league in double plays, 28, but also led the league in hits, 213.
Jake, how often does Jared have guests on this? Any of them know their shit like I do?
No. No. Nope. Someone asked if Jimmy Stewart would do it. I was like, yeah.
Oh, Jimmy would do it.
Jimmy would do it. Zoe said he would do it. Beatles said he would do it. I just don't want to bug those guys. Actually, I saw Beetle
Plug
somewhat
away.
recently.
They got nothing better to do. Trust me.
That's true. That's true. I got to restock the fridge if Zoe's going to come over. He needs those CL smoothies.
Jared, you got a good setup here, dude.
It's pretty solid.
I love the big fridge.
Yep, big fridge. Yep.
Side by side.
Yep. 10 TVs. Yep.
It's 10 TVs? Oh, the one over there.
Yeah.
What do you do with that one?
It swings out.
Just in case there's a 10th game?
Either that or the Celtics. Yeah.
So you're what? Other than baseball, you're basketball? Pats?
I'm whoever's good. Like, I'm admittedly just like bandwagon. Like, I can't. If the Bruins suck, I'm not going to sit through a whole season watching a team that sucks. I would rather just put on a movie. But if the Bruins or the Celtics are good, I'll put them on. I'll watch the Patriots just for something to do on a Sunday in the off season. It's not life or death to me. If they're not good or if they lose, I'm not like my day's ruined. But
Is this their closer?
he pitched the other night. I don't know that they have like a straight up closer.
So they're going with the lefty because they got Bradley and then Devers.
Yeah, they're kind of rocking with what we got.
Oh, no, Devers isn't in there tonight.
No, he is. Yeah,
Oh.
Devers was in there.
I thought Devers was on the bench tonight. Maybe not.
No, Devers was in there.
Oh, yeah, right, because he had a double, didn't he? Yeah.
Mazz is so much better in this setting. It's because he can put his feet up. He
Oh,
can
as opposed
relax.
to the radio show?
As opposed to probably like having to work in between calling the game and just bullshitting. That must be like a task where you're trying to like tell stories, you're trying to provide insight, but then you also have to talk about every little intricacy that's going on within the game and pause for commercials and pitching changes and action, and like it just interrupts the flow. Like you can't just like, we're watching the game but we're having a conversation about the 1988 ALCS.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so, no, that is definitely a difference. So someone sent me an email about this,
Yeah.
and I thought it was a good point, because someone said, you don't seem like nearly as much of an asshole during the games as you are on the radio. And I said, well, it's a different job.
Yeah.
Like, so someone emailed in about it, and he said, you know what? Don't be an asshole in the games. He said, if I want to listen to the talk show, I have a choice.
Right.
I can tune into you guys or to whoever else I want, or I can listen to music.
Mm-hmm.
But if I want to watch the game and you're doing the game, I have to listen to you.
Right.
I don't have a choice.
Right.
So don't make it unbearable for me.
Right.
And I thought that was an interesting way to describe it. Like, people who tune in are tuning in for the game.
Right.
I mean, they want to hear stuff, but they're tuning in for the game.
Yeah.
They want to hear us talk. They're tuning into the radio show.
Yeah, very seldom do I ever take something away from the broadcast unless it's like a Don and Jerry moment. Like that, like Jerry Remy loses his tooth in the booth. You're going to remember that. No one's going to be like, hey, remember like that discussion about defensive runs saved that they had in the bottom of the sixth?
The 3-6-3 double play.
Yeah. Yeah. People mostly just tune in for
Entertainment.
the game, yeah. And if you can, I think if you can make people laugh, that's what people want. Like, people want to be entertained during the game, and Jesus. Oh, okay. All right.
So this guy, Refsnyder,
Yeah.
growing on me.
Yeah, he's been great.
Fast.
Was he hitting like 320 with like a 980 OPS?
And last year, he hit lefties for the first time in his career.
Yeah.
So apparently after 2020, he overhauled his swing. Did you hear this story?
No.
So this is something I got to research. Because prior to 2021, he didn't hit lefties or righties. So then all of a sudden last year, he started hitting lefties.
Yeah.
And once you do that as a guy like him, you're going to stay in the big leagues.
Right. Yep. If you can hit lefties, you get a job.
This place come furnished when you rented it?
No.
It's all your stuff?
It's my stuff. I bought these movie theater seats. I got these for the Saugus apartment that I had. And I had a really nice couch in Saugus, but it just didn't fit with the flow of this room. So my podcast co-host Coley, from when I was at the other place, I figured he was gonna, because he lives up in Maine. I was like, if he comes to Fenway for the games, he's not gonna want to drive all the way back up to Maine. So I went to Bernie and Phil's, shout out, no free ads, and I FaceTimed him and I let him pick out a couch because he's 7 feet tall. So I was like, you're gonna have to get a couch that you can fit on. So that's the one that we decided on, was that couch there.
Is this one open as a bed? No, it can't.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, how could it? It's too long.
It is long. He's 7 feet tall. Need a long couch. Oh boy.
I like these movie recliners. Pretty good.
Yeah, these are nice. I wish they vibrated though. I wish they were massage chairs. Yep.
This one doesn't look good, J-Rod.
No, it really doesn't. At least it was a quick death. I guess I can hang my hat on that. They don't have to drag this one out. Just a quick little fucking 4-1 victory.
Quickie.
Yep. Brutal. This series has taken all the steam out of winning those last two against the Yankees. Mazz is ready to move in.
I like this place.
Yeah, it's a nice place. You're more than welcome to stay here whenever you want. Anytime you want to watch baseball, you let me know. Come on by. I'll make you a key.
Tell you what, the next time I have a day game after a night game at Fenway, here you go.
There you go. They ever put you on a doubleheader, you need a place to duck out in between games, I got you. Yep. JD. Ball down. Fuck.
There you go.
Oh, boy, Mazz. I mean, I don't even know that there's a major takeaway from that game other
There
than
isn't.
you got beat. You got beat. Yeah. I bet you Winkowski's going to tell you how much he wasn't impressed by the Rays. But, yeah, the Red Sox offense did dick. What were they? Let's see.
Oh, you knew they weren't going to generate much offense tonight. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you. This game is closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah. They're out of the playoffs right now? I didn't know that either.
There's your takeaway.
All right. I didn't realize that. They went
You
from
want the bad news or the good news? I'll give you the bad news first.
Okay.
So I leave you on a positive
All right.
bend.
All right.
Okay? The bad news is
Mm-hmm.
they're not that good.
The Red Sox?
Yeah.
They're all right.
You realize that 58% of their schedule in the
Is
second
against the
half
AL East?
is in the division.
Yeah.
And they've sucked against the division.
Yeah.
Now, do you want the good news?
What's the good news?
We have not seen yet the best of the 22 Red Sox.
I would
And I'll
agree
tell you
with that.
why.
Why?
I'm giving you a little lecture now,
All
Jared.
right. Lecture me, Tony.
Okay. Sale just came back.
Mm-hmm.
Evaldi's coming back Friday.
Yep.
Whitlock's going back to the bullpen.
On Friday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So the whole season was built on the idea of Chris Sale coming back and being Chris Sale. Like there's a tendency now to look back and say Sale just came back. Sale was supposed to be back for opening day this year at 100%.
Mm-hmm.
It was that stress fracture that completely fucked up the whole timeline.
Yep.
So the first half, they were never what they were supposed to be. Now, I'm not saying they're all going to stay healthy. But last night in the fifth inning, Sale hit 97 and was throwing it as well as I've seen him throw it in 4 years. So, the blueprint Red Sox really haven't even hit the field yet.
Correct.
So that's your good news.
Mm-hmm.
If they can get the pitching healthy, make a pickup at the deadline, and find someone who can catch the ball at first base.
It'd be nice. And in right field.
Yeah. So, I think you'll be a lot better. I think there's a chance that this was all like a preliminary heat.
Yeah.
The real race starts next week.
Yeah, I agree. The second half is you're going to see a completely different team. And I said this during the Yankee series when Yankee fans were gloating after winning the first two. It was like, not only are you not playing the real Red Sox, but the real Red Sox have not even played a game yet.
Correct.
So I'm not ready to say hypothetically the Red Sox lose tomorrow, they get swept in a 4-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays. It's not a great place to be, but you still haven't really, like, the can't win against AL East teams. I don't want to hear that in the second half. I just don't. Like, maybe you can say that if they start losing in the second half, like once they actually have this group together. But right now, they haven't even done that. You get Nate, you get Whitlock on Friday, and we'll see what Sale looks like on Sunday in his second start since joining this team. But for right now, there's been too much fucking Bayo, Crawford. Not that I don't like Crawford, Winkowski, like those types. And people are trying to judge the Red Sox based on a team that they were not constructed to be. So we'll see what happens.
Who's tomorrow night? Is tomorrow night Crawford?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Crawford tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to double check that because I don't trust you clowns.
Yeah, don't trust us. Yeah, we did the Stop and Shop look ahead on Sunday, and a lot of us were under the influence of adult beverages.
Red Sox TBD.
Yeah. That's probably going to end up being Crawford, though.
It can't be Seabold, right?
I hope not. That's just someone I haven't enjoyed watching pitch.
Seabold pitched the Friday night game against the Yankees.
Correct.
Tomorrow's Thursday?
Tomorrow's Thursday.
They should skip Seabold.
All right.
Right, because Sale jumped in. That's what it was.
Yeah.
They added Sale.
Yep. Any final thoughts, Tony?
No final thoughts. Don't give up, Jared.
I'm never going to give up. You're the one that gives up. I don't give up.
Oh, I gave up years ago. Please. Like, who's shitting who?
Love that. All right. Tony Mazz, thank you for coming. We'll have to do this again on a game that isn't like... That was probably the quickest game of the season.
I'll come back in the second half.
Yeah, anytime you want to do it, you let me know. If you want to, you want to park on my couch, you let me know. We'll accommodate you. That's Tony Mazz. Thanks for watching. I don't know. We're not streaming next week, right? Because we'll be in LA. All right. No stream next week.
Are you going to the All-Star game?
Yeah, I leave tomorrow morning.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I'll be in LA tomorrow.
Is this trash?
Yeah, it's trash. That means I won't see you next week. We'll have to do it over Zoom.
Correct.
Yeah, we'll have to figure something out.
And you'll be on West Coast time. Suck on that.
Yeah, that's going to be terrible. That's going to be a bad time. All right. We'll see you in